Welcome to Bald and Board Games. This is our first video. We are going to be playing Cribbage and doing a teach. We're going to be doing a teach for every game that we play here. We'll have that video up first so you can learn how to play before you watch us play. Why are we playing Cribbage?
So, cribbage is a pretty simple game. We're going to make this nice, fun competition style too, where we'll play cribbage every single week we stream. We'll go through one game. It's a game up to 121. As you see on the little board here, we have two sets of tacks. We have
Axe.
whatever you want to call these.
Eggs.
Pegs. We have silver, we have black. You'll be going around the board, earning points as you play the game and peg throughout the card play, as well as counting up your hand afterwards. So the initial game style is pretty simple. For a 2-player game, you'll deal 6 cards to each player. For a 3-player game, you'll deal 5 to each player. And then for a 4-player game, which is the max, as you can see here on the board, you'll deal 4 to each player, and then you'll have a crib of 4 as well. And you shuffle up the deck, you deal it out, and each player will then make the best 4-card hand in terms of earning points as they can for themselves. The rest will go into what we call the kitty, which will be a separate little deck on the table, and that kitty will alternate from player to player. In terms of earning points, Nick here will explain the possible ways you can gain points after you play the main phase.
Yeah, so points can be a little complicated at first, you can see, but if you played poker, it's pretty straightforward. So to start off, after you place your cards into the kitty or the crib, this deck will be cut by the non-dealer. And if the card that's pulled is a jack, you'll immediately peg 2 points. And it's going to be the dealer who gets those points. That's their jack that they pulled from the deck. But beyond that, in your crib and in your hand, when you're counting and the non-dealer counts first, the dealer will count their hand second and then their crib and or kitty last. So the most basic points you can get are pairs, 3 of a kinds and 4 of a kinds. And this is going to be 2 points per pair. So 3 would be 6, so on and so forth. The next basic kind is a set of 15. So every time you can make 15 with a face card, which its value is 10, or of course a 10 and a 5 to make 15, or a combination of cards to add up to 15, you will also get 2 points. Next we have our straights of at least 3 cards. So here we have 6, 7, 8. So we would get 3 points for the straight. And then here there's actually a 15 hidden in there with the 8 and the 7, so we'd get an additional 2 points there. Lastly, we have the flush. It has to be of at least 4 cards in your regular hand, so the main hand that you hold. You can use just the 4 cards you have there. If that 5th card ends up being part of the flush, that'll help. For the crib or kitty, it has to be all 5 cards. So including this and the hidden cards that you don't know are there, to get any kind of flush. But speaking about this card here, every other point thing here, so this 6, 7, 8, if this happened to be a 9 or a 5, this would add one more point to your straight. Same thing with the example of the 15. This jack is another 10 plus that 5 is 15, so it would give you 2 more points. And of course, if this was a queen, you would have 6 points total there, as it would help you out.
So with this game, we would use this style of counting back and forth as we go through. The first player to get to 121 points would win. If a player gets there and the other player hasn't counted their hand up yet, that hand doesn't matter. It's just the first one across the finish line like in a race. A fun fact about cribbage, if you're interested in what the best hand is, it's actually if you have 3 5s in your hand plus a jack. So let's say you had this jack in your hand plus 3 5s, and then the top card would have to be the 5 that matches the jack. So if you had the 5 of spades, the 5 of clubs, and the 5 of diamonds in your hand, and then the 5 of hearts was on top, that would be 29 points. You would get the max amount of points for the quads of 5, and then you would get for each 5 with the jack would be an additional 2 points for the 15, and then 3 5s together also 15, and you'd have 3 combos of that. plus the jack would match that 5 on top for the final 29th point.
Which is actually a point that I missed when just talking about there. If you ever have the jack in your hand whose suit matches the card that's pulled, so if this 7 was the card that we pulled and this jack was in our hand, we would get 1 point for having the proper jack in your hand. Some fun stuff with cribbage that we didn't mention that you'll see us talk about a lot is something called being skunked. So if you get to 121 points, I believe before somebody gets to 91.
91, which would be right here. So if you end the game just over here and someone finishes it, boom.
It's called skunked. And if you happen to finish before someone gets to 61 points, it's called a double skunk. And then lastly, a fun thing that people who are experienced at playing cribbage like to do is something called muggins. So if one of us is counting out our hand and we forget to count points, the other person gets to take those points from them.
So that's the basic style of cribbage. It's a fairly easy game to play. It's a nice little warm-up that Nick and I enjoy doing, and a fun competition amongst us. So anytime you watch a stream, you'll see us play a game of cribbage. It'll get posted on our YouTube channel, and then we will go into a full video of our weekly game that we've chosen that week.